Hello, May.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
I'm good.
On this fabulous Friday that we're totally not recording on a Sunday.
I'm good.
You're doing good. That is fantastic. This is the final episode of Fanfiction Theater Month. Heyo. I don't know. Stupid mosquito bites.
I'm reading the notes.
Yeah, right?
Have they found out where they got the title from?
I saw that too. Mm-hmm. It's pretty great. So, I hope you guys have been enjoying Fanfiction Theater Month. I would say this has been a blast. How have you been enjoying Fanfiction Theater Month so far?
Yeah.
You excited for this final one?
Yes.
It's about... You sound a little pained.
It's because reading, it takes a lot after a while.
I mean, you gotta get used to it.
I know, I'm just being honest. Like, reading does take a lot out of you. Mm-hmm. Reading out loud.
It takes a lot out of me because I keep fucking up words. So, but this is the final episode. And what better way than with a steamy Viktuuri Yuri smut from Yuri on Ice titled The Best You've Ever Had. That's a great title. So let me read you. We're just going to jump right on into this one. Mm-hmm. Let me read you the summary. Yuri can't stop thinking about the photos on Victor's phone. He's embarrassed. He's ashamed. But more than that, he's in disbelief that he could be so sexy. He wanted to try it again. Sober this time. Victor can't say no to an offer like that. Nobody can say no to an offer like that. Hey, yo. Alrighty, so we can read the notes and all that fun stuff. We're just going to jump right on into this fan fiction. Alrighty, would you like for me to begin?
Sure.
Alrighty, I will get going on this fan fiction. Why am I speaking with a British accent? Boop, 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 boop. They had plane tickets.
Well, you want me to read this one?
Listen, that was not me fucking up
the
words. That's what it says.
I know.
I mean, they did say apologies for any errors, and that's okay. I'm sure it's well written aside from they had. Wait, hold on. Fuck, I think that makes grammatical sense. They had. It's like that. It's like they had it to where that thing was that. Yeah, it's probably one of those. So I'm probably the stupid one in this scenario. I don't fucking know. Let's just dive on in. They had plane tickets to return to Japan after the Grand Prix final, and were all packed and ready to go to the airport when had Yuri stopped by his suitcase and pursed his lips. Victor, can we go someplace else? Victor remembers tilting his head quizzically, brushing the hair out of his eyes so he could look at Yuri's expression. You don't want to go home? Yuri's blush was so fervent in this moment that even before he spoke, Victor's heart felt jump-started. You are my home, he murmured. I want to go someplace alone with you. They'd ended up on the train to Paris in a cab. Wait, hold on. They'd ended up in a train to Paris in a cab to the quietest, most humble hostel the driver knew of. What's a hostel?
I don't know.
The most humble hostel the driver knew of. And then in a room so intimate that they can't even see the Parisian sky. God, I am fucking uncultured as shit. They can't even see the Parisian skyline from their window. The next night, when Victor opens up the door of the in-suite, the steam curling around his legs dissipates in the chill of their little room. In the dim light that the lamp sheds on the space, his fiancée is curled up in bed, scrolling through something intently on his phone. Victor relishes in the cool air of his drying skin, the sensation reminding him of getting out of a hot spring, and it's why he can only take scalding showers. Why he can only take scalding showers anymore. With one towel around his waist and another working through his hair, he gazes at Yuri reclined on the bed. He leaned against the headboard, back supported by all the pillows. He's just in sweatpants and a V-neck thermal shirt, but in the light washed over his skin makes him look oh so sensual. The hands that he is not using to hold the phone has his shirt rucked up ever so slightly, just enough to reveal a sliver of his skin, and his fingertips are stroking the soft flesh of his belly. His knees are bent up in a diamond, one up and one out. Victor thinks of every Venus he's ever seen in a museum he has ever been to. But none of those paintings could hold a candle to the sight he can't stop drinking in. Yuri's hands shift around the phone, and Victor's eyes are drawn in by the movement. That's where he notices the case of pink and gold, and not blue and poodles.
Are you using my phone? He asks as he strides across the room, dropping the towel in his hands but keeping the one around his waist. He gets to see a flash of something before Yuri, who evidently hadn't heard the bathroom door open, squeaks and presses the phone to his chest. No! I mean, yes, he says quickly, a beautiful pink flush coloring the high arc of his cheekbone where his glasses rest on his face. I'm sorry, Victor. Victor waves his worries away as he sits down beside him. I gave you the passcode for a reason, Yuri. I don't have anything to hide from you. Yuri licks his lips, and that's when Victor senses it, the anxiety. Even though Yuri's body is laying out in a relaxed pose, his muscles are tense. Victor thinks that the blush was probably even there before he even noticed it. Is everything okay? Yuri gazes at him, eyes full of unspoken words, and Victor stays quiet. He knows that sometimes Yuri just needs the time to put the words in the right arrangement. It's been a long time since he's had any reason to doubt Yuri would be honest and open with him, so he works on his patience. I'm looking at the pictures from last year's banquet, Yuri admits finally, holding the phone out to where they can both see it. The photo on the screen is one of two of them, shoulders brushing as they dance. Yuri's smile is radiant and makes Victor's heart warm. Those photos have always made Victor's stomach warm, even before he knew anything about Yuri other than his name and his beautiful body. It's impossible not to be happy looking at an attractive boy expressing a confident sensuality. The photos still have that effect even though Victor knows that the Yuri he has fallen in love with shares little of that recklessness, that wild ardor. He hasn't kept these photos because this is the Yuri he prefers. He doesn't even think that there are two separate Yuris, just one man who struggles with the world around him more honestly and openly than others are willing to admit they also do. He looks up at the present Yuri, the flesh and blood boy he loves, and the smile isn't there. Victor had no idea that Yuri didn't remember that night, and the revelation was embarrassing for them both. But there's no way that the embarrassment Victor felt, thinking back on how openly flirtatious he was when he first arrived in Hasetsu, that's
how I would say it,
can compare to what Yuri must feel as his mind tries to recreate a memory it had never made to begin with. He can understand how Yuri might see these photos as evidence of something else, something to cause him doubt, and so he breathes softly and keeps his tone gentle, but not pitying. Yuri, if you would like for me to delete these photos, I will. I am not attached to them nearly as much as I am attached to you, and I know Christoph and Yuri would do the same if we asked them to. No, Yuri interrupts, his voice low but firm. He's certain. He doesn't want Victor to question his decision. So Victor trusts him and smiles. Yuri smiles back, although his mouth quakes and it's not very reassuring, and then he looks back down and resumes scrolling.
Hearing about this, I couldn't believe it happened. I know Celestino made me go to the party, hoping it would cheer me up, he continues. His voice still low, but not as firm at all. He pauses here to laugh scornfully. I was a mess. I lost the Grand Prix. I lost Victor. I don't know how I had left. I don't know what I had left. I can remember the first few glasses, how they made me feel less lost. And I guess I needed more of that feeling I guess I needed that feeling more than ever. I can relate to that. Yeah. Yeah. Yuri reaches up and wipes his cheek, and for a moment Victor's heart sinks because he thinks that Yuri is crying, but no. He's just sheepishly hiding his mouth. The next thing I knew, Celestino was waking me up and pushing medicine into my mouth for the hangover. I was pretty hungover too, and we had a flight. It was pretty bad. Yuri laughs again, and this time it's less bitter. Victor's chest starts to unwind, and he laughs along, remembering the morning he and Yakov remembering the mornings he and Yakov had their own mutual hangovers. Yakov always had a tendency to shout, and if you couldn't hear him over the headache otherwise. I never thought that the black part in between had all of this. And it's really embarrassing, Yuri whines. Actually, humiliating is a better word. When I saw the pictures, I was ready to run out of the restaurant. I didn't want to think any of you had seen me like that. Especially not you. Yuri. Victor, Yuri mumbles, looking up at him from behind his thick, gorgeous black lashes, framed the frames of his glasses. The frames of his glasses. All my life I dreamt of making my first impression on you on the ice. The way you impressed me. Losing the Grand Prix then was bad enough. But then leaving Sochi, I told myself that at least I was still anonymous to you. I guess that wasn't the case, though. It was a party, Yuri. People get drunk. People lose their inhibitions. It's the best party I'd ever been to, though. It still is. Usually post-competition parties are so dry, but this time there was a very cute boy dancing without a care in the world, and I loved it. Yuri presses his face to Victor's side, and Victor wraps his arms around his shoulders, holding him there. When Yuri speaks, his voice is muffled by their proximity, and his words were warm to Victor's skin. I realize you probably felt that way. I mean, you kept all these pictures, but you never made fun of me, or used them against me, or let the toilet make a bunch of noise like a fucking asshole. But that's neither here nor there. I will read this sentence again. I mean, you kept all these pictures, but you never made fun of me, or used them against me, or even used them to motivate me to be Eros or anything like that. I would never, Victor insisted, and Yuri nods. His hair feels like a feather brushing over him, tickling. I kept them because they reminded me of a good night. The fact that I got to meet you again, and that your video reminds me of an idea you gave me then, and that I was the luckiest coincidence to ever happen. It was fate, Yuri argues. All of my life, Victor, you've been my destiny. May is just smiling. And I will let you continue. Well, go ahead.
Before Victor can answer, Yuri kisses the skin in the subtle dip between two of his ribs, where Victor knows he has a freckle that Yuri is fond of, and then he pulls away. There's something else. Go ahead, tell me. Yuri licks his lips. I never knew I could do all that, he confesses, voice breathless. His expression is so open, fear and excitement playing across his face like shadow and light. The dancing. The pole dancing. Fuck, Victor. No wonder you were so certain I could do the Eros routine. Victor laughs. Yuri's face is red and glowing, and his voice is incredulous and happy and abashed all at once. Not that he can read Yuri's mind, but he's pretty sure this is a positive reaction. He laughs, and Yuri smacks his arm, but he's also laughing. I might have been given a hint, Victor agrees. God. You asked me to be your coach that night, but if you had asked me to have sex instead, I would have said yes in a heartbeat. I'm glad I didn't, Yuri confesses. I'm glad we're here now, like this. He fingers Victor's ring, the only thing he has on other than the towel. Victor leans to kiss his forehead and hums. I'm glad too, on both accounts. There's a moment of stillness, and then Yuri says, But really? Pole dancing? Me? I struggle with push-ups sometimes, and my core isn't exactly worth bragging about. Victor palms the aforementioned paunch, which is really only even paunchy because Yuri is sitting and slouched. There's no fat there, just skin on muscle. Hush, Victor coos. You're an athlete, and you have immense lower body strength, especially for a man. He emphasizes this by squeezing a chiseled thigh. He also purrs just to hear Yuri squeak. You do 100 sit-ups on our lightest practice days. Your body is perfect. I was also immensely drunk, though. Victor tries and fails to suppress a smile at the next memory that comes to mind. You were. But thankfully, Kristoff has quick reflexes, so whenever you teetered, he caught you. Oh, God, Yuri moans. I should thank him for that, but I really don't want to bring it up. On his behalf, no thanks necessary.
On his behalf. Alrighty. You want to read the next part, or you want me to read it?
I'll just do it.
Okay, sure.
Yuri grins shyly. He looks down at the phone on his leg and turns the screen back on. Victor watches Yuri's eyes as Yuri takes in the image of himself and sees the gears in his mind working. There's still something else Yuri hasn't said, he realizes. All of this was the build-up to something more. Being patient with his fiancée can be such a trial sometimes. You really like the Yuri you see in these pictures, he comments. Too bad I can't be sexy all this time, huh? Yuri, Victor says gravely, if you were that sexy all the time, my heart would be overworked and I would die. I don't need you to be anything but yourself. Be sexy when you feel sexy. Cry when you need to cry. Laugh from your belly when you're happy. That's all I want. Yuri's pink in the face and he kisses Viktor gently, fleetingly, and then pulls away, looking at Viktor with his eyes half-lidded. I want to try this again. Sober, Yuri finally says. He meets Viktor's gaze head-on and smirks. For your eyes only.
Because I know where this is going.
Viktor's heart thumps powerfully against his ribcage, and all the blood rushes in the same direction. He fights to keep a level voice as he responds. Oh? I suppose I could have a pole installed whenever we decide to make our home. Yuri shakes his head. That's a lot of trouble, and it's way too long to wait. He licks his lips again. There are other things. Other things, Viktor echoes, and this time he cannot mask how dumbstruck he is. His voice is a raspy breath, like he's craving water. Things I can do right now. Yuri puts his hand on Viktor's cheek. Promise not to tease me, even if I suck. I would never tease you for sucking, Yuri. Yuri covers his mouth, but not fast enough to hide the smile Viktor's jokes elicits.
Where are you at?
Right here.
Elicits.
Elicits. Even if I'm terrible, he amends. Promise me.
That was a blowjob joke. Oh, man. I would never tease you for sucking, Yuri. Hey. Blowjob jokes in the bedroom. There you go.
Yuri's eyes are demanding, but Viktor doesn't even need to think about the request. I promise. Yuri, whatever you do, I'm sure I'll be gone for you. I already am, he thinks. He'd say it out loud if he didn't think it would make Yuri combust. Yuri, who has his bottom lip drawn in under his teeth, whose arms are shaking, whose eyes are wide and imploring.
Oh man, this is going to be interesting.
You don't mind that I haven't showered yet?
Don't be difficult, Viktor chides him. God, Yuri, I'm already half hard under this towel. You can't leave me like this. Yuri looks down for confirmation, and what he sees causes a shift in his body language. Viktor has seen this change hundreds of times. The way Yuri's shoulders roll back and his neck elongates, his body blooming as he embraces his sexuality, and even though it's exciting every time, it's the absolute best when they're in bed and not in the brink. Yuri gets up from the bed and walks around the width of it, crossing over to the side Viktor is leaning on. Viktor's body moves in response, turning so he's sitting on the edge of the mattress, feet on the floor. Now the lamp is behind the both of them, and Yuri is bathed in its glow. He takes a pose similar to one he starts his Eros routine in, but has each hand on the opposite side of his neck. Slowly, his fingers skim down the long, pale column of his throat, his Adam's apple bobbing when he knows Viktor is looking right at it. His right hand crosses the length of his torso at his collarbones, where they disappear under the edge of his shirt. He left his hands crossed over where Viktor knows his nipples to be. And sure enough, that touch brings them each to a point, making them push out against the olive green thermal. A whine escapes Viktor's throat as he thinks about how he'd love nothing more than to have his mouth over those eager spots. Yuri gives a deep, throaty chuckle in response to the noise Viktor made, and waits till Viktor looks him in the eyes again before he licks his lips, slowly and sensually. It's one of his nervous habits, too, but in this moment there are no nerves, just hormones and confidence. His palms cup each side of his ribs, and Yuri traces the contour of his torso with a firm grip, highlighting the places where his waist dips in and his hips rise out. It's a distinctively feminine move. Even though Yuri does not have the waist-to-hip ratio of a woman that a woman might, the allure of his touch makes Viktor salivate. Yuri lets his left hand fall to his side, and his right hand, with the ring sparkling, trace the hem of his shirt. One of his fingers hook onto the fabric, pulls it up to reveal the same flash of skin Viktor saw when Yuri was lounging in bed. In this context, it made Viktor pant. Yuri, he can't help but whine, overwhelmed by the display of his own lust. Yuri's smirk is dangerous as he drops the shirt again and takes a step towards the bed. How about a rule, Viktor? He drawls, voice at the lowest pitch Viktor ever heard. You can look all you want. I know where this is going. You can look all you want, he continues, dragging the vowel in all in a way that shouldn't be legal. His pupils are blown wide, the framed by his beautiful eyes, but it only makes the brown in them that much richer. He practically nose to nose with Victor now, and Victor is trying so hard not to go cross-eyed. But no touching. That's hot. May, that's hot, isn't it? Mm-hmm. You can't touch me. No. Mm-hmm. There you go. Victor swears his heart stops, but his pulse is the loudest noise in his ears. Yuri had whispered that, breathed the command over Victor's lips, and the heat from his breath went right to Victor's cock. He's fully hard now, but he knows Yuri can get him harder. Get him to finish with just a voice if he wants to. Sir, Victor agrees, the syllable breaking on his tongue. He swallows hard and places his hands behind himself. I won't take my eyes off you. His promise spurs Yuri back into action, bouncing light on his feet, 2 steps back so Victor can see him again. This time, his hands find his back of his shirt, and he tugs up from the neckline, up to the bottom of his ribcage. He hesitates there, and it would be funny to see his lover with his head stuck in the shirt if Victor's eyes weren't locked into the expanse of his stomach, his core. There are stretch marks there. Victor knows this is more than he can see in the light this dim, but placing them where he knows they are adds to the beauty of Yuri's body. Those are some of the smudges and scars that life has marked Yuri with, and Victor loves all of them. The shirt comes off his head, leaving Yuri's hair fluffed and his glasses askew. He unwinds the fabric from his arms, making them strain more than necessary to show off the sinew of his biceps and triceps that Victor wishes he could run his tongue across.
Russian!
That is a Russian word.
Vikusno? Oh.
Let's find out what that means. Delicious! Nice! There you go.
Thank you, Google Translate, for telling us. How do you pronounce that word?
I'm just going to say the English translation of it. I'm just going to translate it.
All right.
Delicious, Victor murmured reverently, and maybe that's the comment that makes Yuri throws his shirt at Victor's head. Or maybe he planned to do that all along. Victor takes the shirt off his face so he can see, just managing to catch the way Yuri pushes his glasses back to the bridge of his nose. I am anime boy now. I have to do that. It occurs to Victor that this is the very first time, that Yuri still has his glasses on when they're this far along in their intimacy. This is the first time Yuri can see his every reaction sharply. This is a show for Yuri as much as it is a show for Victor. And if it's a show, Victor's going to perform. He brings the balled-up shirt to his nose, letting his eyes fall shut as he takes in the deepest breath. Yuri's smell fills his senses so much, he almost doesn't hear Yuri gasp. Oh. Victor lowers the shirt and places it aside on the bed, then opens his eyes and looks at Yuri directly, lifting his eyebrows and smirking. For a second, Yuri looks dazed, and then surprisingly put out before he sighs and catches Victor's attention with his hands. He twists in the air before resting it atop of his sternum, then traces a lazy, twisting line down his body, between his subtly carved pectorals, past the swell of his stomach over the waistband of his sweats, that sit low on his hips because they're old, from before the weight loss. He is unabashed, and then he unabashedly grabs at his package, palms spread wide to accommodate both his cock and balls, and throw his head back with a husky moan. Victor swears in Russian, the first word that comes to mind, and his cock twitches. He can see Yuri got a semi. See? Got a semi! There you go. We talked about that earlier. Let that be that as you will. He can see that Yuri's got a semi, and at least it reminds him how painfully untouched his own cock is. As if sensing that Victor's got itchy fingers, Yuri gives him a significant look, raising a single eyebrow. He rolls his head over to the crotch of his pants, then resettles it on his hips. I don't repeat myself, he warns, and you better not come at that towel. Alright, May, you're up, bro.
Victor can't help the sob that bubbles up from his chest, and his eyes burn. His everything burns. Cheeks, chest, ears, nose, but nothing so much as his dick, which has never been harder in his life. Yuri, he begs, not knowing what he's begging for. Just Yuri. Yuri. He doesn't realize his eyes are closed until he hears and doesn't see Yuri coming up to him, cupping the back of Victor's head with the same hand that just fondled his junk. He places a knee aside Victor's hip, close enough for the warmth to be felt, a hair away from touching. Too far. Using his thumb to stroke down Victor's hair, he nudges his head up. Victor looks at the face he adores in an arrangement he's never seen before, his very blood itself excitement running in his veins. Are you enjoying the show, baby? Yuri asks him.
Baby? I'm sorry, the way you said baby made me laugh. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. My baby boy! Because you said, are you enjoying the show, baby?
To say it like that.
Because you used to be like, yeah, you're my baby boy. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for ruining the mood of this really well done smut.
Are you enjoying the show, baby? Yuri asks kindly, but there's an edge to his voice that makes it clear that this is still part of their game. Because he's looking up, Victor doesn't see it coming when Yuri grinds his dick against Victor's body, but he gets to see the delicious length of his neck as Yuri tips his head back and moans. Victor can't help the noises he makes in response, and he fists his hands in the sheets so he doesn't reach out to touch himself or Yuri. He doesn't know. His noise makes Yuri look down, but with the sweat on his face, his glasses slip right off, landing on Victor's lap. He picks them up automatically. They don't have any extras with them, so if damage comes to these, Yuri will be near blind till they actually get back to Japan. He holds them up, but hesitates, wondering what he should do. Yuri tilts his head down a little more, nods briefly, and Victor knows wordlessly to slide them back on the bridge of his nose, to be careful to tuck the arms behind his ears without stabbing him. As he settles the frames on Yuri's face, his pinky brushes Yuri's cheek. By accident or design, even Victor doesn't know. You touched me, Yuri points out calmly, his voice full of amusement. Victor has a protest on his tongue, that he was set up for that Yuri gave him permission, but all the words die on his tongue when he sees it. That smile. The one in the photos. The same smile Yuri has when he's finished a bowl of his mother's katsudon. His gold medal smile. Is uninhibited, open in this moment I couldn't be happier smile. Victor laughs, breathless and punch-drunk on the love filling every cell in his body. I touched you, he agrees. Then in a conspiratorial rapt whisper, he adds, what happens next? Yuri pulls away and Victor misses his touch immediately. It's almost embarrassing, the whine that comes out of him, especially because Yuri's hand is right back on him, untucking his towel and gently pulling it out from underneath him. Thank you for sparing my ass from friction burn, Victor laughs, and Yuri laughs too, tossing the towel behind him. Would you like the honor of taking my pants off? Please, Victor breathes, and Yuri nods again. Victor slides his 4 fingers inside the waistband of his pants on either side, cool against Yuri's hot skin, and pushes down with his thumbs until he's got them halfway down Yuri's ass. He smooths his hand over the plush skin in the back, and then reverently draws Yuri's erection and sack out, letting his touches linger. Yuri's breathing is heavy against Victor's shoulder. You're enjoying this too much, Yuri complains, but when Victor looks up, he sees that smile, and sees how hard Yuri is trying and failing to smother it. He returns it with a cheeky smile of his own. This is mine to enjoy, he purrs. This body, this man. I have the ring to prove it. Yuri groans and buries his face in his hands, but even still, the corners of his mouth are visible, stretched to opposite ends of his face. Victor kisses the skin under his mouth, over Yuri's ribs, and then Yuri both tilts his chin up and leans his own face down so they can kiss properly. While they're kissing, Victor tugs hard on Yuri's pants, and they fall to his ankles. Yuri squirms a lot as he tries to get them off without using his arms, too busy holding Victor's face between his hands, and Victor puts his hands on Yuri's hips so they can enjoy their sway. When they are both finally undressed, Yuri presses Viktor onto his back and moves his mouth to kiss and lick Viktor's ears. He bites down too, harder than Viktor could ever expect from that sweet mouth, and Viktor's hips buck up of their own free will. His erection is rubbed against Yuri's thigh, and the touch is so good he sobs. "Let's do this like horny teenagers," Yuri whispers filthily in Viktor's ears, like we're in the closet at a party and we don't have time or lube. Viktor groans and grabs a huge handful of Yuri's ass, nails and fingers digging into the skin. "I've created a monster," he answers, but it's not a no, and Yuri knows it too. They shift on the bed to line up better, cock against belly for both parties, and rub against each other desperately. Yuri's hand slips between them, grabs Viktor's cock, and jerks him, and Viktor feels the press of his wedding ring, along with Yuri's touch. That detail has him throbbing. He moans and does the same, cupping the head of Yuri's cock to thumb the slit, letting the rest of his fingers graze over the shaft before he takes a firmer hold. It's only a minute more before Viktor comes first, spilling on Yuri's hand and both of their stomachs, and Yuri falls so quickly behind Viktor almost doesn't hear the whine of ecstasy in his ear. When they're spent, they use Yuri's shirt to wipe themselves clean, then toss that aside too. Yuri lies on the bed like dead weight, and he does after he comes, and Viktor melts at the adorable sight, but also has to fight to get the duvet out from under him. "Come on, Yuri," he huffs. "You'll freeze."
"But I'm so warm," he argues. "And I'll stay warm if you're next to me." Viktor groans because it takes all his willpower not to cave and curl up with Yuri. Imagining his fiancée waking him up in the middle of the night with a shiver and a blue-tinted lips helps to keep him on task. He gets Yuri covered, and Yuri sighs happily. He gets Yuri covered, and Yuri sighs happily as he burrows into the mattress. He makes an even more content noise when he gets to burrow against Viktor's chest. "I know striptease isn't really the same as pole dancing," he mumbles, sounding less sleepy and more uncertain. If that even counts as a striptease. Viktor supposes now that the frustration and tension had been worked out of Yuri's body. He's more clear-headed and susceptible to doubting himself. He hushes him none too gently and threads his fingers in Yuri's hair. "Well, there was definitely stripping, and definitely also teasing, so I'd say it counts. Are you telling me you did all that and you never seen a striptease before?" Yuri shrugs half-heartedly. "I'm not the biggest fan of clubbing, as you probably guessed. It's not like I had any reason to look it up online. If I wanted porn, I'd just watch porn." He's a good man. He is a good man. Listen, alright. So it's time for Greg's tips for wanting to do erotic things. If you want porn, just watch porn. Don't tease yourself.
Well, maybe some people get off on clubbing stuff. I don't know, not them.
If you want porn, just watch porn. Yuri shrugs half-heartedly. Oh, no, we're
that.
Next one.
I love when your filter.
I know.
Okay.
I love when your filter's gone, Viktor sighs. "I want to know what kind of stuff you watch when you jerk off. Will you show me?" Yuri looks up, meeting Viktor's eyes, and smiles a bit wryly. "I've had your dick in my ass. I've had my dick in your ass. I've heard you beg my name, and I'll probably never need porn again in my life." Viktor feels himself blush, and Yuri must see it too, because his smile gets soft and he brushes his finger over Viktor's cheek. "Like I was saying before, I know it wasn't exactly what I promised, but you liked it, right?" Viktor shifts, pressing their foreheads together. He's still running his fingers in Yuri's hair. He loves how soft it feels. "Read my mind and tell me." "Oh, so dirty," Yuri teases, laughing against Viktor's shoulders. "Your mind is a den of sin." Oh, God, I can't pronounce his last name.
Nikiforov?
"Your mind is a den of sin, Viktor Nikiforov." Nikiforov? Yuri on Ice fans, please tell us how to pronounce his name in the comments down below. "Lucky for me, I found someone who meets me where I am," Viktor teases, a bit dryly, even though his heart pounded as he remembered Yuri saying that to him. I mean, the last thing I was expecting was some BDSM play, but it was a welcome surprise. Katsuki Yuri, you were really made for me. Damn, a lot of revealing stuff. Yuri agrees wordlessly. Yuri agrees wordlessly. He puts his elbows on Victor's stomach and brushes fingertips over his nipples idly. That's why, as my husband, it's your job to make sure that I never get drunk again. Ever again. Am I your husband now? Victor laughs, the word tasting incredible in his tongue. No one informed me of the updated relationship status. I don't remember anyone getting down on my knees and proposing, and yet I found myself engaged. The universe works in mysterious ways. I could get down on both knees for you right now, Victor replies, readily wagging his eyebrows for emphasis. Yuri pinches his nipples hard, and Victor screams and laughs in a single breath. Really, though, is that what you want? A traditional proposal? That's not exactly traditional in Japan, you know. In the old days, people would propose pretty indirectly. Like, for example, a man might say something like, "Please be my coach until I retire," and his lover might reply, "I hope you never retire."
Oh.
Victor's grin threatens to split his face in two. I got it right on my first try, and is that what you're saying? Is what I'm saying, Yuri echoes with a little nod. And in Russia? We're blunt, he hums, even when it comes to marriage proposals. Is that why you announced to everyone during dinner then? I thought you would give me an incentive to win. A little of both, but mostly I did that because I wanted to. I don't think we're a very traditional couple, Yuri. No, we aren't, Yuri agrees. But I'm still a Japanese man, so I expect you to take responsibility for me. Oh? And what does that entail? Don't ever let me drink too much alcohol. Carry tissues in your pocket in case I need them. And Makashin gets to sleep in our bed when it's cold.
That was a good cover. Let the dog sleep with you.
Let the dog sleep with you.
On the bed.
Victor pretends to consider this, but really he's trying not to laugh. His Yuri is so precious. He can't imagine how he got to be here. Those are very difficult demands, but I vow to meet them. Anything else? Yuri yawns and then nuzzles close to Victor. Tie my skates for me when I'm too old to do them myself. Sleep with me every night. Victor watches Yuri's eyes fall shut and then open again. Never let me be alone again, he murmurs, looking vulnerable and small in Victor's arms. He gasps softly, hugs Yuri tightly, and kisses his lips briefly. I will. I'll do all of those things. Sleep easy, Yuri. Yuri mumbles something intelligible in Japanese, and it makes Victor feel warm. He waits until he can tell Yuri is asleep, and that his breathing is evened out, and his body has gotten a little heavier, and then he closes his eyes.
Okay, and then there's a little part right there.
Hey, and then the next morning.
All right.
You get to read the next morning part.
Okay. I suppose I'm not that surprised you're so good at dominating, Yuri, Victor says with a grin as they make the bed. But the towel thing kind of threw me for a loop. Was there a reason behind that? Yuri pauses with the pillow in his hand and pulls a grimace. My parents run a hotel, remember? You have no idea the things we've had to wash. Or burn. I didn't want to think of someone like my mom having to deal with our mess. Victor laughs into the back of his hand. Did you really think about your mom while we were having sex, Yuri? In hindsight, he really should have expected the pillow to hit him in the head. And they have a Twitter and a Tumblr, apparently.
Oh, man. That is a great way to end that fic. So, you mean to tell me
Think about your mom.
you thought about your mom when we were doing the do?
Banging.
Damn.
The diddly
son. We would do the diddly do. Hell yeah. So, with that...
Oh, excuse me. My God. Ooh, excuse me, guys.
All right, end on that. We don't need to do an outro. Just end on that burp. Anyway, thank you guys so much for enjoying this episode, and thank you for Visual Novel Month.
We're not there anymore.
No, we're not there anymore. That was
too back in the past, bro.
Yeah, way back in the past. So thank you guys so much for enjoying this fanfiction, and thank you guys for enjoying Fanfiction Theater Month. May, what'd you think of Fanfiction Theater Month? It's good shit? Good shit. We got some good shit,
You gotta send me those two Voltron ones later.
Absolutely.
Please.
I will send you those two Voltron ones.
Please do.
Yeah, there's a lot of good shit that were read in those fan fictions. So it was really good.
Good
10
writing.
out of 10.
Good writing.
Good writing. Well done. Even with some of them that had spelling mistakes, they're still 10 out of 10. Good ads. Yeah. I'd say you need like 3 or 4 sets of eyes to fully, like, proofread something.
Exactly.
But yeah, so thank you guys so much. Really hope that you guys enjoyed this. If you want more fanfiction theater, you should comment and let us know what fanfictions you want us to read, and maybe I'll drink some alcohol and read some in the future. Who knows? Maybe we'll make it a donation incentive for Extra Life that we read some of these fanfictions in the middle of the late night hours. Who knows? But thank you guys so much. Really hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you liked this content, you want to check out more, there's a subscribe button down below. Go subscribe to our channel, the Snazzy Gamers. We got a playlist with all of the previous episodes and all of the episodes from Fanfiction Theater Month, all in a playlist called Fanfiction Theater. So I figured you guys would enjoy that. If you want more things, I would probably recommend, if you like this kind of weird stuff, I would recommend our Let's Play of Shall We Date Lost Island, because we did a lot of reading in that one, and there was a lot of very over-the-top shit that happened there. The zombies were incredible. I would also recommend, if you are currently wanting to watch some current stuff, yeah. If you want to watch some current stuff that we're doing, check out our Dream Daddy stream highlights. Those have been really cool. We read Dream Daddy fanfiction, and we did a stream like a while ago of Dream Daddy, and by the time this comes out, all of those stream highlights will have been released. We might stream more in the future. Who knows at this point? We're also playing Nier Automata. Go check that out. We do dumb videos on Fridays. Also go check that out. I cannot wait for more. So thank you guys so much. And until then, I've been Greg, and that has been May.
Yes.
And we'll catch you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.